Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice. We're slightly later than intended, but we are going to take a look at the Age of Sigmar Battleforce boxes for 2025's festive period. Everybody loves a Christmas box, and while there were some decent ones for Warhammer 40,000, the real value always lies in Age of Sigmar if it's a faction or units that you want. Because Sigmar just tends to be better value with arguably just as nice if not nicer models. This year we have 4, we're going to run through each of them in turn, and honestly I was surprised, firstly by the prices post-price increase on October the 6th, how expensive some of these units are, but also how much you get value-wise if this is stuff that you want. That's the caveat for all of this. If you want all of these units, generally they're pretty good value. If you only want some, or you don't want much, maybe skip. And I'll throw up some spearheads as well to give you an idea of the other starter element boxes. But how about we just get into this one? With this Skaven, everybody's favourite rat people, rat men, ratlings, rat things. I'm always on the verge of starting a Skaven army, and to be honest, I don't think this box is bad from a starter point of view. You don't really have many chaff units, you probably just have a weird mix of things, but honestly, I don't think it's too bad. But this is the Skryre Warpspawn, and in it you get an Arch Warlock that you can see there on the left. 2 boxes of Storm Vermin, you get a Rattling Warp Blaster, Warplock Jezzails, that's a unit of 3, a unit of 5 Acolyte Globadiers, and a Warp Spark Weapon Battery, which includes 3 units, or 3 models as well. The Warp Blaster there was included in the Vermin Doom? Is it Vermin Doom? The Age of Sigmar 4th edition starter set, that's one of the new kits. Also the Storm Vermin are a new kit as well, stunning new kit. And then your Jezzails were included in that box as well. It's just a nice mix of different Skaven-y units. I don't think it's going to flow for quite a lot of the options for their army. I'm not up on my Sigmar stuff, and this is 4 factions that I don't know much about. If you're playing into that Skryre, more gun-heavy, technological style Skaven, this is probably a good shout. There isn't everything in here that I'd use. I'd want a load of clan rats running around just because they're fun. But this box, in its contents, would retail RRP Games Workshop post-price increase for £231. A couple of options for you if you are looking to start Skaven this year as well. So this is the Spearhead. You get the Old Grey Seer, you get a box of 20 clan rats, you get 3 Storm Fiends there, and a Warp Lightning Cannon. So these models are starting to show their age a little bit. The clan rats, I believe they're the new ones. Yes, they are. Everything else is a little bit older. But the good news is there's no crossover, but I don't think that this is the best value alternative to starting Skaven, because through Games Workshop, what will be a discounted price and less than these Battleforce boxes, you could pick up the Sigmar starter set. So they call this the Spearhead starter set. Basically everything you need for Spearhead. And it gives you an alternate Skaven Spearhead, but you also get the Stormcast Eternal Spearhead in there as well. So give it to a friend, sell it to a friend, or just flog it online. Unless you want to start both Skaven and Stormcast, and this is an even better option. But Skaven wise, in this you get the brand new Clawlord on a Gnarl Beast, the new Grey Seer, the new Warlock Engineer, 3 new Rat Ogres, and again 20 clan rats. You also get, as I mentioned, the Stormcast. I think there's about 15 Stormcast models, a couple of heroes, some interesting stuff in there. And you also get all of the Spearhead rules. You get the Fire and Jade book, which might be last season's rules, but it is still absolutely current and you can still play Fire and Jade. All of the Spearhead rules in that book are current, and as far as I know will be current for this whole edition at least. You also get the cards for playing in the 2 realms here. I think it was Gur and Akshi, I want to say. And you get your 4 bits of terrain which you need for your Spearhead, and your Spearhead board as well. That's a double-sided board. So everything that you need to start Spearhead, and 2 Spearheads. One of them comprising of a whole host of the new Skaven miniatures. If I was going to start, or probably when I start Skaven, this is the route that I would go down, because it gives you a bit of everything, but it gives you a board, terrain, everything that you need to start playing basically out the box once you've built and painted it. So that's the route I would go if I was wanting to start Skaven. Unless you want all of the units in the Battleforce box, then definitely pick up the Battleforce box. Soulblight Gravelords, Lances of the Crimson Keep. This is another thing that Sigmar seem to be doing, is big named characters in these boxes. The Skaven one didn't have one, the other three do. And this one you get Prince Vordrai, brand new sculpt, and on the left there you can see a Draconith, that's the undead Draconith that you can use as a regiment of renown to join other armies. Just an incredible model. So Vordrai himself has 2 or 3 different build options. You also get 2 boxes of Blood Knights and a box of Felled Bats. Blood Knights and then the Felled Bats are looking a bit old, but they've got a bit of charm, haven't they? This one, total, going by Games Workshop's individual box prices, £245. So quite a lot. Despite it being small units, you've only got 4 units in there. Quite a lot of value rolled into this box. Alternatives, if you wanted to go down the Spearhead route, it would be Soulblight Gravelords, but the undead side. It's almost like it's a different army. But in this one, you would get a White King, Barrow Knights, Barrow Guard, and Death Rattle Skeletons. I believe most of this stuff is new with the Soulblight refresh that they got when the Battletome came out a few months ago. Beautiful models, really nice box, but it isn't vampires, so it really depends which flavour of Soulblight that you want to go down. Honestly, if you want to focus on the vampires, you don't have Prince Vordrai, it's not a bad shout to go down the Battleforce box. Otherwise, just pick up the units that you want if you're looking to start, is what I'd say, because there isn't really a vampire focused Spearhead. Moving over to the Gloomspite Gitz, this is the Dankhold Rampage, and it's all trolls all the time. And another pretty good box, in all honesty. These boxes have grown on me since I've been looking at them. In this one you get Trugg the Troggoth King, he's the named character in here and the focal point of this box, I think. You also get a Dankhold Trogg boss, you can see there on the left, that has a different build. I think he's just a Trogg, not a Trogg boss, but you can build it in a slightly different way with different, I think it's a different weapon loadout or something, but a little bit of variation there, which is nice. You also get 2 boxes of the Rockgut Troggoths and a box of the Fellwater Troggoths too, and you can see them there. So the blue ones are your Rock Guts, and they're just quirky models. In fact, to be honest, they're all quirky models. What I like about the Troggoths is that they're all trolls, they're troll type, Sigmar trolls, but they also have their own individuality. Like those Fellwater trolls have obviously developed underwater and are very different to the Rockgut trolls, which is just a great design choice, I think. Keeps things interesting, and definitely from painting, if you're painting lots of these models, definitely keeps it more interesting for those different textures. Contents of this box, going by Games Workshop's recommended retail price, is £229.50. And your alternative would be the Gloomspite Gitz. It was written on there, but apparently I've deleted that line. But in this Spearhead, you do get some Rockgut Troggoths, but it very much focuses in on the Gitz themselves. So you get a Loon Boss, the Squig Hoppers, and the Moon Clan Stabbers. It depends what you want. If you want to have a good mix of Troggoths and then Gitz, the smaller stuff, the Squigs and things, maybe the Spearhead isn't a bad start, but if you want all the Trogs, all the time, Battleforce seems like a pretty good shout, in all honesty. And with Trogg in there, if you don't already have Trogg, that gives you a pretty solid named focal point to build an army around. And I believe in the lore, he's just roaming the land, gathering Troggoths to just demolish and fight and not necessarily wage war, but you know, he's on a bit of an adventure around the realms. So definitely lore-wise, it's quite a nice box as well. Our final box, the Sylvaneth box, the Outcast Spitegrove. So no Stormcast Eternals this time around, which isn't a bad thing. Big model count in this box, and I don't know if this is a good box because the Sylvaneth, they're not a faction I know anything about. But it's definitely got a mix of models, let's put it that way. In this box you get Drycha Hamadreth, that is on the right there, the named character, stunning model. The honeycomb, the beehive, wasp things coming out of her, and it's just, there's something incredibly fantasy yet nightmarish about some of these models. which is great. You also get a Spirit of Durthu, which can be built in 2 or 3 different models as well. So a bit of variety there if you already have one of those models. 3 boxes of Spite Revenants, and you get a box of Dryads plus 4. Because a box of Dryads contains 16 models, but they're actually in units of 10. So your box doesn't give you 2 units. It's very odd. I've priced the box up slightly more at £42 instead of the $35.50 that the box of 16 is, just to reflect that you get a couple of extra models. Hopefully that makes sense, because you can't buy Dryads in a box of 20. On the left is the Spirit of Durthu. What a model that is. I've seen that model so many times at Warhammer World and never quite appreciated just how crazy that model is. Stunning model. And as they are an Order army, so technically they're good guys, although there's no good guys in Sigmar, except the Dark Oath tribes. You know, they're just trying to survive. It just has this, and you could paint it up differently. You could maybe take off some of the contrast and make it darker and scarier. Maybe throw some blood on there on the talons and things, maybe even on the roots. But you can make some terrifying stuff out of these. Same with those Spite Revenants as well. Interestingly enough, they come in boxes of 5, you get 15, that's 3 boxes. I don't know if Spite Revenants are good, and it would be surprising if they are, based on the fact that you get 15 in this box. But still, if you want some Spite Revenants, they have an alternative build as well. Very scary models. And I think if you paint them up in that grim, darky, horror-y vibe, you could do a lot with them. Just spooky trees coming to life. Really, really cool, but those 3 units is a big chunk of the value in this box. This box, putting all the prices together individually, £238. So again, decent amount of value in there. Sylvaneth. This is probably the best one-to-one Spearhead comparison. If you were wanting to start Sylvaneth and you didn't want to spend the money on the Battleforce boxes, the Spearhead is probably a good choice. In this one you get a Bray Witch, which is down the front, that one there with the scythe. Weird model. They're all weird models. I think I like them. The Tree Lord, big guy in the middle there. Again, stunning sculpt. Kurnoth Hunters, that's the 3 tree creatures with the bows. Again, very cool. Am I becoming a Sylvaneth fan? What's going on? And then you also get some Tree Revenants, so 5 of them. This box has some play into the Battleforce box because the Tree Lord can be built as a Spirit of Durthu, and the Revenants can be built as Spite Revenants or Tree Revenants, whichever way you want to go. So while there is some crossover there, and I don't know if you'd want 4 boxes of Revenants of whatever type, but because they have different build options, you can take multiples. Not the end of the world. I'm unsure how you'd want to do army building if you started with the Battleforce box and then bought the Spearhead, or you already had the Spearhead and you went into the Battleforce box, but I don't think the crossover is terrible. So, how do they stack up amongst each other? Again, we're going to go through cost, the expected price, although I'm going to caveat that, and then the points that you get in the box. And as you can see, they're pretty good. I'm working on a theory that the Battleforce boxes are going to be £150 when they go up for pre-order through Games Workshop. Third parties will have discount on that, so if you want this stuff, you want to save a little bit more money than what's in the contents, contact your local third parties and see what they can do for you. But that price is based on the Drukhari Battleforce box, which came out on the 27th of September. We have had a price increase since then. I don't know if Battleforce boxes are going to go up, but I can see them being £155, maybe even £160. So bear that in mind, because the saving will obviously drop depending on which of those they are. You can combat that potentially with third party. But let's take a look at them. Skaven, potential saving of £81, you get 930 points. That's almost half an army. If you want everything in there and you want to field everything in there, not a bad starting point for Skaven. Crimson Keep, even better. £245 would mean at that 150 price point, you are saving £95. That is almost all of Prince Vordry. And you get 1,000 points. So Soulblight Gravelords, focusing on the vampire side of things, that's half of your starting 2,000 point army, if you want to go down that route. I don't really know if you'd use Fellbats, but honestly, they're not that much. Points wise, Fellbats are 90 points, so you could switch them out for something else. You've still got a good chunk of points there. Dankhold Rampage. not quite as much to save, £79.50, but you are getting a whopping 1,110 points if you build all of those units at their most expensive points values. So basically the Trog boss would have to be built as a Trog boss. Just really good, really solid start to an army if you're wanting to go down that route, or even if you're wanting to just have a chunk of Troggoths and then flesh that out with some Gitz. I think that Battleforce box, for the price and the points that you get, is exceptional value. Finally, the Sylvaneth with the Outcast Spearhead, £88 saving off that £150 predicted price. The Sigmar stuff just has better savings. They always have. They're always priced better, and they always have better savings than 40k. There is a 40k tax. It is a real thing. But if you want everything in there and you can use everything in there, 1,080 points. It's not bad to bulk out your force, starter force. And then if you throw that Spearhead in there as well, you're probably well on your way to a big chunky 1,500, maybe even 1,600 point army, depending on how you wanted to go for the Sylvaneth. Overall, Age of Sigmar definitely holds better value. You get so many more points. I mean, there were 40k Battleforce boxes that didn't even have, there was 2 of them that didn't have 500 points in. The lowest that you get for Sigmar is 930 points, which is madness. I think that Sigmar lowest points value is probably higher than every Battleforce in the 40k offering for this year. That's the difference between Sigmar and 40k. Absolutely crazy. My pick, I don't know. I quite like them all, having looked at them. The one I wouldn't go for is probably the Crimson Keep, purely because I just wouldn't use... Mind you, I like the Draconith. That undead Draconith I want in other armies. I think that they're all good. I think that they all have their merits. And if you're going to use everything from these Battleforce boxes, it looks like they're going to be pretty solid value. But let me know which Battleforce boxes stand out for you, and regardless of price and points included, which one do you think that you're going to go for? Which one are you most tempted with? Let me know below. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, do all the YouTubey things. The support is just incredible from everyone who watches the videos. Thank you so much. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.